NASA has got to stay on the forefront of technology and vision and safety, and it's got to stay within an already very tight budget. Now, how do you do that? Joining us now with some insight on that is former astronaut Winston Scott. Mr. Scott served as a mission specialist on shuttle flights in 1996 and in 1997. Thank you for joining us, sir.
Thank you, Sawyer. It's a pleasure to be here.
Do you agree that NASA is lacking in vision?
I'm not so sure I agree with that. I think NASA has a clear vision. I think what's happening is that NASA is finding constant competition for its resources. I mean, our country right now is concerned about terrorism. We're concerned about potential war. And those things are, and rightly so, diverting our attention from NASA and diverting some of the much-needed resources from NASA. I think the vision is there, and we'd like to see the resources stepped up so that NASA could pursue and achieve its vision.
Well, let me tell you about those resources. This is a quote from Richard Bloomberg, who, as you know, is the former chairman of the Aerospace Safety Advisory Board. Just last April, he said, "In all the years of my involvement, I have never been as concerned for space shuttle safety as now." And Senator Bill Nelson of Florida echoed that, saying, "I fear that if we don't provide the space shuttle program with the resources it needs for safety upgrades, our country is going to pay a price we can't bear." Do you agree?
Well, Forrest, again, I can't disagree with what has been said. I have sort of mixed feelings about it. I'm aware of those comments, agree with them to a certain extent, but on the other hand, I have to agree with those people who express the sentiment that NASA's engineers and technicians are some of the best trained in the world. They're some of the most meticulous and some of the most caring people in the world, and that they do everything they can to keep our orbiters safe. As orbiters age, we do have to be concerned with their condition, but as they age, we inspect them more thoroughly, we inspect them more meticulously, we ground them when necessary, we do everything that we can to keep them flying. So I understand.
I don't think either of these gentlemen. I don't think either of these gentlemen or others were actually criticizing the people who work at NASA. They're working under very difficult conditions. I think what they're trying to say is that given those conditions, and given the fact that this fleet is aging, and given the fact that the budget is so extremely tight, we inevitably are going to be facing critical problems.
I couldn't agree with that more. I think we all have to be careful that in our tightening of the budget, in our cutting of the fat, we don't cut into the lean. And the problem is nobody knows ahead of time when we reach that point. So I would certainly have to agree that we need to be concerned about the resources.
So we are looking forward, obviously, and we have budgets to think about in the future. We have ways that the space program should move forward in the future. Do you believe that this incident, even if it is only caused by insulation breaking off the fuel tank, it is a disaster, should raise a red flag and cause us to rethink about how we're moving forward?
I think it's imperative that we pause, we consider where we are, and take a look at how we're going to move forward. It's important that we do move forward, but I agree with you that we have to move forward in as safe and conscientious a manner as possible.
There are some who are saying there's even a possibility of having to shut down the International Space Station for a period of time as the United States begins to regroup and rethink what it's going to do with the 3 remaining orbiters. Do you see that as a possibility?
Well, certainly it's a possibility. I would hope that that would not occur, and my gut feeling would be that we'll do everything we can to not have that occur. We do have 3 orbiters. We have our Russian partners that can help us sustain the International Space Station. So I certainly hope that that does not happen.
Russia has its own budget problems. How confident are you in the partnership that Russia will be able to provide?
Well, I tell you what, I think we're going to go a lot further as partners than we would as individuals. So I think if both countries, if all of our international partners step up, we all bear the load, I'm confident that we'll overcome this obstacle and others, and we'll continue our space program and continue to push on out into space. I think it's imperative that we do so.
You, as well as anyone, know the men and women who work at NASA, both on the ground and the ones who go up into space for us. I'm assuming this won't daunt them at all. They will continue on. They will remember their colleagues, their family members, and drive on.
People who come into this business for us are people who will do just as you said. We understand the risk when we sign up for the program. We'll mourn. It's been a sad 36 or so hours for me, but I understand how important it is that we continue to move forward. And I'm very careful when I speak that I don't speak for other people out of turn, but I think I'm safe when I say that I think every astronaut And those that we lost yesterday, if they could speak now, they would encourage us to find the problem, but get back into the business of flying in space.
In 1996 and 1997, Winston Scott rode into space for the United States, and he talks with us tonight. Thank you for talking to us, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Now let's change gears. For Israel, the shuttle disaster, terribly painful. Ilan Ramon, the first ever Israeli astronaut. He had already become a hero in the entire country's minds. He was the son of a Holocaust survivor and was considered a military hero as well for his role in that daring 1981 Israeli raid, you may remember it, that destroyed an Iraqi nuclear plant. NBC's Tom Aspel has more on how Israel is paying tribute to their fallen hero.
Well, it's been a day of gloom and doom here. Many Israelis have a feeling that this country just can't get a break. The loss of Colonel Ilan Ramon has been keenly felt all over Israel. At this morning's weekly cabinet meeting, which was also attended by the American ambassador here to underline the cooperation between Israel and the United States, Israeli Prime Minister Ariel Sharon said there would be more Israeli astronauts and that every one of them would carry the memory of Ilan Ramon in their hearts. Here's what he had to say.
Times such as these strengthen the bonds of our common faith, values and vision, all of which were realized in the Space Shuttle Columbia's journey. The 7 astronauts who were killed yesterday in the Space Shuttle Columbia are part of the heavy price paid by the human race in its quest for knowledge and our search to explore other worlds. Their death was not in vain. Many journey into space will continue.
Flags are at half-staff all over the country. Nobody yet knows what kind of memorial service will be held when and if Colonel Ramon's remains are returned here, but it will be a huge event. Ramon was really a bright spark of hope for the future here, a glimpse of glory so eagerly looked forward to, a reason for Israelis to be optimistic in the face of a long, drawn-out war with the Palestinians, which has killed more than 2,000 people on both sides in just over 2 years. Israelis are used to death, especially in the military, and Colonel Ilan Ramon will join a long list of heroic military men so revered in this culture. And now back to you.
And that is Tom Aspel reporting. Now still ahead, the other crew on board the Shuttle Columbia, look at who they were and the legacies they leave behind.